Welcome. You have entered the home of the ECU Pirates. Pirate Nation, stand up and put your hooks in the sky. Let's make this competition feel what it's like to be surrounded. Y'all with me? Come on. Yeah. Let's get it started. Get your hands at your pocket. Turn up the volume. We're the bomb and you're the target. It's on. Mind blowing with the whatnots. Doing everything but stop. Trust dog, y'all ain't ready for this. High powered. ECU's on fire. Scorched till the competition's begging for rain.
Welcome into the Sports Objective right here on a Tuesday evening. And I tell you what, we've got a very special show. We want to give a shout out to Bubba Rosenbaum. I know that he's a little bit under the weather tonight, but producing behind the scenes with us. One of our favorites is back on the show. It's basketball season, and he can come on anytime he wants, even if it's still football season, baseball season, whatever you like. And that's former ECU head men's basketball coach, Coach Mike Steele. How are you, Coach?
I'm great. How are you? After a big Pirate win, everybody's good.
That's right. You know, our friend Brian Bailey always talks about if you want to get a loan for a car or a house, then go Monday morning after a Pirate victory. So in the fall that you can get a loan.
Oh no. And and Brian's not the sharpest tool in the shed. So I mean, for him to come up with that is, he did my coach's show when I first got to East Carolina. And it would take us 2 hours to do a 20-minute show because we would just start laughing. And I mean, we had a blooper tape that I think, thank God, somebody destroyed because we had so much fun. I mean, so much fun. We had a kid make a half-court shot. We played South Carolina. We had just beaten James Madison, and we were horrible my first year, horrible. But we beat James Madison. So we're coming back on the bus, and we're going to play South Carolina. They're ranked 20th in the country. But we think we can win the game now. The coaches, the players. I mean, we had 2 walk-ons start. But because we beat James Madison, we think we're going to, we're all pumped. Well, they just thump us. But at halftime, a kid makes a half-court shot, and he wins a car. And the place is going crazy. So we had him on my talk show, or my coach's show. And the kid, he's on, and Bailey and I are, he goes, Coach, I'm just telling you, I've been doing a lot of partying. I thought I'd won a pizza. He thought he won a pizza. No, you can't make that up. I looked over at Bailey and I said, what? Only in East Carolina can a kid win a car and everybody's going crazy and he thinks he won a Domino's pizza. It's beautiful.
Oh man. Was that Pirate Al?
Oh no. Pirate Al would have known that he won a car. Yeah, he would have been worried about how he's going to pay the taxes or whatever. Yeah.
I love Pirate Al. Another one of our favorites. Another good one.
Yeah.
Wanted to have you on, Coach. Obviously, basketball. I can't believe basketball season is here. Not that I'm complaining. Very happy that basketball season's here. And want to get your thoughts. I guess we can first talk about obviously the Pirates with ECU. One of the things people were talking about, obviously, back in the spring and when Jaden Gardner left. But, Coach, I'm going to just be honest. It may sound like sour grapes. I think this is a situation now when you have the transfer portal, when you have this one-time rule where you don't have to sit out anymore. This is almost like a trade, and we desperately needed shooters, and I feel like Joe's got them now with our program.
I've seen a little bit of 2 practices, and, I told Joe, I'll come to practice, but it's got to be raining. Because otherwise I'm going to be on the golf. I mean, I'm not going to spend a lot of time in the gym. But I've been to practice. Joe's a good coach. I mean, he works them hard, but he loves them up. He really is a good coach. But it's funny you said that because I loved Gardner his first 2 years. I loved him. I didn't like him last year. I didn't know he was leaving, but I didn't like the way he played. I didn't, he wanted to be out on the floor, and this is just my opinion, but that's not his game. His game is to grind and get in there and get fouled and take it to the paint. And he out on the floor, he's not very good at it wasn't. Maybe he will improve, but wasn't a very good passer, wasn't a very good dribbler, can't guard people on the floor, and can't shoot very well from out there. So I just and it'll be interesting to see what he does at Virginia. I mean, they lost a ton of guys, and so I'm sure he'll play. But I think that the idea he's going to be out there at the 3-point line is not realistic. That's just me.
No doubt about it, Coach. And with his team, you never know. Last year was terrible with COVID. Joe's team starts out 7-1, and then they go a period. You remember February? I mean, February back. It seems like it was a year or two ago, but it was earlier the year. But it was 20 some days without a game or practice. I mean, it's a long, long time. I can't imagine being a coach. And Coach Dooley, of course, got COVID. He couldn't go to that Tulane game. I mean, there was just so many crazy variables that happened last year because of COVID-19. I thought that the football team, ironically, would be hurt more than the basketball team, and it was the other way around. I think the basketball team was hurt more than the football team.
No, especially when you're at East Carolina and you're bringing new guys in, and I just didn't think they ever really found their niche or found their, and people started doubling and triple teaming. To his credit, Garner was, they had people everywhere he turned, and we just couldn't make shots. I mean, it's kind of like, having a quarterback that can't pass or a running back that can't run or that, a pitcher that can't throw a fastball. I mean, we could not make shots. And as when you watch coaches, they get really frustrated when guys miss open shots because that's all you can do is get guys on offense, just get guys open shots. And they ran some stuff, good stuff. But when I watched, and again, I had a lot of guys that could shoot in practice. I mean, Dave, I don't miss any putts on the putting green. But, when it goes out there and you're playing for $2 or you're playing for pride, I mean, we've got to be able to like the last few years, we never had a guy that when he was wide open that I thought for sure he was going to make it. Like most teams have one or two guys that if they're open, you can't, you're going to count it. And we just didn't have that. And when I watched them, I watched them do the drills and stuff, and we got a couple guys that have got nice looking shots. And when I watched, they seem like they like each other. Now we haven't lost any games yet, so we haven't, they haven't traveled and done all that stuff. But I think Joe likes his team, and I think we'll be fine. I think we're going to be fine.
Very excited. I want to ask you, we're going to come back to basketball. I want to get your thoughts on, obviously, with all this Conference USA and American and all this conference realignment. I want to get your thoughts on that because you're a coach at the Division I level. This is crazy stuff. We lose, obviously, UCF, Cincinnati, and Houston to the Big 12. It's just been so much of a shakeup. I want to get your thoughts on it.
Well, personally, I think it's the best thing that has happened to Pirate athletics in 25 years. 25 years, maybe 30 years.
Wow.
And part of that is as a former coach. I mean, we're getting rid of 3 teams that we shouldn't be. I mean, you look at 3 teams that their budgets are like Carolinas or Duke. I mean, we shouldn't be able to beat those teams. And if you do, it's a big upset. You're not going to beat them on the road. And we bring in teams that are similar to us. And my argument, Dave, is that when Skip was here, I love Skip to death. He went 10-2, 9. We beat Florida International, Florida Atlantic, UAB, Rice, UTEP, which is a trip that both Coach's wife and myself, we found a way to be sick every time we had to go to UTEP because I'm not going to Mexico to play a damn game. I'm not doing that. But I think that, and you think about it, like we played South Carolina this year, an SEC team in football. We had less than 30,000 people there. And that's because we've lost 6 years in a row. We've got great fans, but everybody has good fans. When you start losing, not a game, a season or two, but that many times. And if we were 6-1 and playing Rice, we'd have 40,000 people there. Rice. I mean, nobody buys a ticket to go see us play Houston or Cincinnati. It doesn't make any difference. They come to see the Pirates, and when the Pirates are losing, people don't go. And with COVID, it was kind of like, shoot, I can stay home and watch them on TV or go to the beach or go play golf or do whatever. It wasn't the thing to do. And Skip made it the thing to do, but he had 5 games on his schedule that we should have won, going away, and we did. So I think with what I've seen with us playing Houston and Central Florida, we had a chance we should have beat Central Florida, and they're not as good as they've been, but we should have beat them, and we had a chance to beat Houston. So I think that football I would like to see those 3 teams out tomorrow and the other teams in tomorrow, and then we wouldn't have to worry about whether it's facilities. We've always, since I've been here, when we were in the CAA, we had the worst facilities in the conference, arguably. When we upgraded our facilities, then we went to Conference USA. And all of a sudden, instead of playing William & Mary, we're playing Cincinnati, who's been to one championship. We're playing teams, Marquette, DePaul, right on the line. Louisville. I mean, there's no way we should have done that. But we did. And then when we went to the American Conference, Terry Allen, they thought we were going to be in the Power 5. So you make that plunge. Well, when we didn't get that, when we couldn't take non-qualifiers, David changed our whole, if Skip would have stayed here and couldn't take non-qualifiers, he'd been in the same boat that Steve Logan was in when the BCS came. He'd have been struggling to keep a job. I think right now, we couldn't do it because we couldn't get out of the American Conference and pay to get out. I mean, we were in my opinion, no man's land. But now, I think we can win in football for sure, and I think we can win in basketball. I mean,
no doubt.
I'm excited. I'm as excited as I've been because when I look at the schedule, I'm not going loss. The preseason, you can be wrong, but I think we got rid of 3 teams that if we were all at that level, it'd be different. But in regard to budgets, it's not, wasn't even close. So I think it's great.
I want to ask you your relationship with Skip Holtz and La Tech getting left behind and still in the Conference USA. What's your thoughts on that? We thought about you, and that's one of the reasons we wanted you on, is we think a lot of Holtz.
No, I know since Skip's been there for 8 years, he has pleaded with the administration to get student fees, to be able to get their budget, and they wouldn't do it. So they've never done it. Well, now they said, they're going to do it. Well, guess what? It might be a little late because it looks like Western Kentucky is going to go to the Mid-American Conference, which is not a bad fit. I mean, you got all those Ohio schools and Indiana, Ball State's in there, and they're going to get in there. And I think Buffalo or somebody else is going to get in, whoever it is. I don't know what's going to happen to can you imagine being at La Tech, where La Tech and Western Kentucky for a while, neither one of them were in, and they've won 9 of the last 10 football championships. But I don't know how you recruit right now. You can't say who you're going to – it would be awfully easy to recruit against La Tech if you're recruiting against them. And without being negative, you could say, hey, they're great guys over there, but here's where we are and where are they? It's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. I don't know what they're going to do. Somebody, you can't hardly go independent. UConn has proven that. My gosh, UConn should just go 1 AA and just, but I don't know what's going to happen. I feel terrible for him. And they're having a tough season. They had
how many games have been close games?
Oh my gosh, they had Mississippi State down 31-14 in the 4th quarter and lost. SMU, who's really good, SMU scored on the last second 50-yard Hail Mary. Ball got up in the air, and we were watching it. It was like, I always want East Carolina to win, but if you're not real close to the coaches, it's a good thing, because if they lose, then you just go play golf. I mean, life goes on. But I really like Joe, and I really like Mike, and I've got some of Skip's assistants there, and so I'm a little more ingrained. It hurts a little more now because I know how hard all those guys work. But I think football, we're really close in football to being real good in this conference now. I think we got a chance to be really good. And I think Joe, I looked at their schedule. They got a lot of home games. They've got 3 or 4 neutral sites. They've only got 10 away games. If they can get going, I think we can have a winning season in basketball.
Oh my God, that would be.
Which I think people would get. We haven't. I had one, and I think they've had 4 in 50 years.
Yeah. 2013?
Yeah, I think they'll put the statue up for me the same time they do Lebo when they look back on it. We each had a winning season. It's not easy. No. And I'm going to Connecticut. Purdue plays Carolina.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, in the basketball, and Tennessee, where I coached against Coach Barnes when he was at George Mason, and so Tennessee plays Villanova, and so that'll be I had a chance to coach Coach Lebo's son Creighton, who's a really good player. He's a walk-on, and on Jeff, I'm hoping Melissa goes, but it'll be neat to see them because Purdue's going to be good and Carolina's Carolina, but Tennessee, and there's 4 teams that could be in the top 10 preseason, so it'll be fun.
And Coach, we have Kyle from LaGrange Barber, and he's showing up late to the show, late to practice, so to speak. Are you going to make him run? What would you do if you have a player show up late?
It depends on how good they were. I'm guessing this one would be running a long time.
You know what? I'm actually not late. I was here before. We had another show with Ryan Jones, East Carolina tight end, prior to this, and
that's okay, Kyle. Well, you're good. I was counting you as being good, so that's all right. We're good.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty good. I have some things I had to do, so I got this done, and now I'm here.
Well, we're glad you're here. Coach, we were just talking about La Tech and Skip Holtz right before you jumped on, and they're in a tough situation. But Coach has Coach, if you'll tell him again, since he's behind, I think he's going to be. You can tell him to get out of the panic room when it comes to the American. He likes the idea of the new teams coming in where we can win the conference, Kyle.
I mean, that's great. I don't.
You don't?
Just because Mike Steele likes it, don't mean Kyle Barber likes it. I mean, he's not going to change my mind.
I didn't say that.
Kyle,
but
Kyle, not only do I like it, I think it's the best thing that's happened to East Carolina athletics in 25 years.
I don't like the Texas ads. It's too far west. I'd much rather, financially, I like the $7 million a year we're going to continue to get from ESPN. I'd much rather be in the Sun Belt. More regional rivals, more history. We got more history with Marshall, Southern Miss, Appalachian State, etc.
I don't mind that either. I would like that, but we couldn't do that because we couldn't get out of our conference and pay the $10 million or whatever it is, and then not get that money. So
that's going to be the key. If Memphis and SMU leave for the Big 12, if they take 2 more, I have every idea the TV money will go down at that point, and then the exit fee would go down, and that's going to be when we're going to have to make a decision. But as long as we're still getting $7 million from ESPN per year, we can't go anywhere.
No, and you know what? If those teams go, I think we'll pick up 2 more or 3 more, whatever. But what I like, Kyle, is that instead of us fighting to try to be in the middle of the conference, I think arguably we have a chance to compete in football and basketball and have a chance to win the conference. And as you know, you've been here long enough, like winning solves 99% of the problems. If you're winning, the sun looks better, the food tastes better, the fans are better. Once the season starts, nobody cares who you play. Nobody's going to buy tickets if we're losing to see us play Cincinnati or Houston any more than they're going to see us Rice or Utah. They're going to see the Pirates play And if we can win,
Oh, I don't disagree with that. What my problem was, we added 6, okay, and so you bring in UTSA, top 25 football program, a lot of potential. There's nothing else in San Antonio but the Spurs. So to me, that media market's a legitimate argument because there's no other show in town outside the Spurs. You know, there's no NFL team, there's no MLB team,
right?
so you really do capture the San Antonio market. Florida Atlantic, good football program. I think they've had decent basketball through the years, good baseball, great facilities. I'm okay with that ad. UAB, good basketball, got a brand new football stadium, good football with Bill Clark. I'm okay with that ad. What I don't like is North Texas, Rice, and Charlotte. I would have much rather added Appalachian, Southern Miss, Marshall for the other 3.
Well, you know why they didn't?
Their
Media market.
budgets.
No.
Their athletic budgets.
The athletic budget for Appalachian is the exact same as Charlotte.
I mean, that's not.
Go look it up. It's exactly the same.
Well, I've been told by the people that, you know, are athletic directors and at that level say they would have had to double their budget. So I don't know. But I think that would have been a great choice, but they opted, from what I've heard, to not do it because they didn't want to have to raise that much money. And they got a good gig right now.
Oh, the Sun Belt is growing and it's growing at leaps and bounds, and their media deal is about to go up. They're going to get, from all reports, between $2.5 and $3 million per team for television revenue. And what I want to see is a cost analysis. If they go to $3 million for television revenue, with JMU, Marshall, Appalachian, Coastal Carolina, Georgia State, Georgia Southern all being in that league, I would love to see a cost analysis for our travel expenses in the new American versus what the travel expenses would be in the new Sun Belt to offset the media deal if they go up to $3 million. You know, also something I think people need to keep in mind when talking about the Sun Belt versus the American. James Madison, Appalachian, ODU. I forgot ODU in this equation. They're in there also. They're all going to bring fans to Greenville. Temple, South Florida, UTSA, Rice. They're not bringing anybody to Greenville. They're not going to help us sell tickets in terms of their fans.
I agree. But if this new leap that, you know, we didn't really have any control. I mean, we didn't have anywhere we could go. We're locked in. The other thing that is not getting a whole lot of emphasis, but is a huge deal, is the NCAA is going to pass that they're no longer, to be a qualifier, it's going to be grades only. It's not going to be SAT tests. It's not going to be ACT tests. And that's huge. It's going to be for everybody.
Wow.
And so
basically anybody will be able to take non-qualifiers per se.
Exactly. And so what I think
that's good news.
It's great news. What I think is going to happen is
it?
You know, we were getting the guys when Skip was here that we're going to go to Carolina or State or wherever, and we got them. Well, now those guys are going to Coastal and they're going to Appy and they're going to Liberty, and there's a reason that those teams are so good. That's one of the huge reasons. Yeah. Well, Carolina's going to get theirs now, and State's going to get theirs, but we're going to be the next step. They can only take so many.
Right.
Then we're going to take some, and then they're going to go to Appy, and then they're going to go to Coastal and Liberty. And I think that's going to, if we get 4 or 5 kids a year, and Dave and I were talking, I mean, Skip had 13 guys that went to the NFL, and a lot of those guys got degrees, but that SAT score, they couldn't get it. Well, you take those guys off Skip's teams, and he's going to be in the same boat that Steve Logan was in, the same boat that Ruff was in. He's going to be battling to be 500 in the last, couple years. So that is a huge deal for East Carolina. It's huge.
No, I don't disagree with that. I think it's probably good for everybody. I
do too.
One thing I was actually thinking before you just said they passed that, I was wondering for schools that live off non-qualifiers, like say Marshall is a good example for football. If that wasn't passed, I was thinking with the new transfer rule, you could have a lot of these non-qualifiers go somewhere like Marshall 1 year, then go transfer somewhere else anyway. It's really good that they passed that.
And Marshall also has their own junior college basically on campus, and a lot of those classes that will transfer to Marshall won't transfer anywhere else.
Yeah.
So they got a nice gig. Once they got them, they're in Guantanamo Bay. They can't get out. I mean, they're pretty much locked in. They got a nice gig there.
Yeah, that's great to know, because I've always thought the SAT is nothing more than making a bunch of people or a few people in Princeton, New Jersey rich. That does not decide whether you graduate college or not.
Dave, when I was at DePaul, you had to have 1,200 supposedly to get in.
Wow.
And we had kids that give me a guy that's an AB student that makes 800, and he'll be an AB student in college because he's already works. I had 2 kids not make it at DePaul. They were 1,400, but they couldn't get their butts out of bed and go to class. Now, I've always thought from day one, and then when you could take a class to take the test, how stupid is that? But they didn't make money. They bought islands. They were stealing money.
Exactly.
And the only reason they dropped it is because they found out all these politicians and movie stars were paying people to get their kids in school, and they said, hey, this isn't good. We can't be doing this. No, pretty hypocritical.
No doubt about it. We were talking about Kyle. We were talking about Joe with the basketball program, and I'm very excited, Coach, about the Myrtle Beach tournament coming up this month in a couple weeks. It's going to be fantastic, I think, for Joe and the program.
No, it's incredible that it's going to be here, and because I got to go to a lot of the games during the COVID because I'm Drew Steele's dad. I mean, that's how I got in, and we were playing somebody. I might have been Houston. We won the Houston game, and the new chancellor, Philip, went to school with my oldest son. And he's sitting right in front of me. And he just gotten the job. And he turns around and says, Coach, and we talk, and he says, I went to your basketball camp 3 years in a row. And I said, you can't blame that on me that you weren't any good. I can't make you a player in a week. You can't do it. And I said, Philip, you're not getting any money back. It's way past that. So, and if you were any good, you wouldn't be the chancellor. You wouldn't have done all that academic stuff. And I think he's great for us. So I think that a couple of the rule changes that we had nothing to do with, the non-qualifier, and then some of the teams leaving and the other teams coming in. I don't disagree with Kyle. I would have loved to see Appy in. And I'd love to see Coastal. They're right. But.
Well, another one, if we're talking about that, another one to me that I know a lot of people like the Charlotte ad, a lot of people don't. And I look at it from a football standpoint. You're more going to look at it from a basketball standpoint. And in basketball, Charlotte's got a lot of tradition. But in football, they got a 15,000 seat stadium. They dug a hole in the ground and calling it a football stadium. Old Dominion to me would have made more sense because I'll make the UTSA argument. Norfolk, Virginia Beach is a huge metropolitan area. The metropolitan area for Hampton Roads is 1.7 million people, and there is no professional sports teams.
Which is crazy.
To me, Old Dominion, once they start winning again, to me that's another market that's truly a market you could have had. To me, Charlotte is a pro sports town, and people that are college sports fans in Charlotte, they're ACC fans, they're East Carolina fans, they're App State fans. There's not a lot of Charlotte fans in Charlotte. So to me, again, if you didn't want App, why not ODU? To me, ODU would have made more sense.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but I don't know the background in regard to the budgets and all that stuff. I don't know how all that pans out, because I know that like Cincinnati going into the Big 12, they spent $60 million renovating their basketball facility. I mean, they were all in that they were going to go somewhere. And,
right.
And it's a, big city and so forth. But so I don't know. I don't know if we didn't offer Old Dominion. I don't know if we didn't offer Appy State. I don't know. I'd be guessing. And I agree with you. I went to the Old Dominion game 2 years ago that Skip played, and their facility is built so that they could add 15, 20,000 people right there. I mean, just add another deck.
Yeah, I don't know that App State pursued membership into the American. The rumor is they did. I do know Old Dominion did. Old Dominion wanted into the American, and it didn't happen. And so now they're going to the Sun Belt, and it may or may not be the demise of Conference USA. We'll have to see what happens. They're trying to get something going.
I don't think that Conference USA has the conference to demise. I mean,
well, they got 5 left as we see here today.
No, I think
Middle and Western are talking to the MAC.
Who do they have left besides Louisiana Tech?
Louisiana Tech, Florida International, UTEP, Middle Tennessee, Western Kentucky. And Middle and Western are talking to the MAC. They're trying to bring in Sam Houston State, defending FCS national champion, Jacksonville State, the team that upset Florida State earlier this year, and moved them up to FBS. Liberty appears to be in for all sports, and New Mexico State for all sports.
So you can look what has happened. How would you like to be in Conference USA right now?
Oh, I feel bad for the Louisiana Tech fans. They have nowhere to go.
They've got good fans. They follow. They're used to winning. But New Mexico State, really?
Yeah, Liberty's appealing. Liberty's appealing. Beyond that, I really Sam Houston State, from a football standpoint, defending FCS national champions, got a huge upside. I don't think it's a bad basketball league if you look at it. If that were to happen, if Western stays, you would have Western, you'd have Liberty. I think Jacksonville State has decent basketball. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
I think Western's going to the Mid-American.
Yeah, they may or may not. I've talked to some of their big boosters. There are a couple that if Conference USA makes their ads, want to stay for recruiting purposes in the South. But the majority do want to make the move to the MAC. We'll see what happens with that.
You know, the MAC makes sense in regard to travel because, you've got all those Ohio schools and all those, Illinois and Indiana. I mean, they're right there. The travel and being able to have rivalries, as you talked about, it would make perfect sense for them to do that, to go into a conference with Houston, whoever, and New Mexico State. And I mean, I just think you're just throwing it against the wall and hope something sticks. They're in a bad place.
Yeah, but you got to hope for Louisiana Tech. You got to hope for Louisiana Tech the league survives in some way, shape, or form, because making it as a football independent in today's climate, I don't know how you do it. Look at UConn and UMass. It's a disaster.
No, like the only one that could was BYU because they were already a brand.
Yeah, well, Liberty's done it, and it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you're a religious school, you can do it.
Yeah, and Liberty's football team is really good, and their basketball team has made the last. I mean, you watch them play, and they're arguably one of the top, probably 50 teams. They'll be one of the top 50 teams in the country this year again. But I agree with you. Going independent, trying to schedule people, good luck with that.
Yeah, and the COVID year was drastic with that too.
No, and when you're good and you go independent, nobody's calling you to say, let's play home and home. If you're in a conference, you're worried about getting wins, and then you play in the conference. Like when I got East Carolina, the first year, and we had 4 or 5 kids, end up going to jail the first week of practice because they stole things the spring before, and that was never brought up in the interview. I know that shocks you, but so all of a sudden they come in the first practice, and one of my guys go, "Yeah, coach, we got 6 guys they just took away," but I just don't see how, as an independent, when I'm having my guys schedule out of conference, I'm looking for W's. I mean, you look at our basketball. I mean, you're looking for W's, and I'm not going to pick Liberty as one of the ones that I'm going to play. And I know we're playing them this year, but it's in Charlotte, and I think that'll be a good game for us. It'll be a hard-fought, tough game.
Yeah, they are in a conference in basketball, I believe. Is it the ASUN they're in basketball?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but you're right. In football, Liberty's done a better job than most. I think because they have money. I think they can actually buy some games.
And they can take non-qualifiers.
Yeah, and they can buy some games with the money they have, some home games. But you look at somebody like New Mexico State, for example, who is trying to get in this new Conference USA. If it happens, they've in recent history had to play the same team twice in the season. In fact, them and Liberty did that a couple of years ago as independents. They actually did a home and home during the regular season in football.
No, you're exactly right, because I was talking to somebody, I said, no, they played them 3 weeks ago. They can't be playing them again. I go,
Yep.
yeah, they got a home and home in football. That shows you how hard it is to schedule. I mean, all you have to do is see when teams are playing home and home in football, they can't find anybody to play them. It's tough deal.
Yeah. Before we left you go, Coach, I want to get your thoughts on. Obviously, we talked about the Pirates, and do you have like a Final Four? Do you have teams to watch out on the radar? And we're gonna have you back on a few weeks once basketball season started.
Well, I hate to put the hate on my Purdue Boilermakers, but I think they're going to be loaded, and they got a 7'4" Canadian kid that was a freshman last year. He'd only played 1 year of high school. He made the Canadian junior team, and they moved him up to the regular Olympic team. Talking to Coach Painter, we have a guy that was second team all conference, 6'8", 6'9" kid. And he said, Mike, I'm going to have to play the other kid in front of him. And he's just he's so talented and he's tough. And, you know, the first time I saw him play, he just goes right down, runs the court, gets down in the low post and just posts up. And I said, Coach, you've done a great job. He said, we didn't do anything. He said, you know, in Canada, they don't have all the AAU stuff. So guys aren't out on the 3-point line. He just goes down to the block. But they've got all their guys back, all their starters back. They have a great recruiting class, and Matt's a really good coach. So I got my Boilermakers in there. They're gonna be a tough out. And the rest of it is, you know, this portal is it's a different animal too. You know, one of my buddies, Brett Laughinghouse with Bostic Sugg, he used to come to practice some, and he said, Steele, he said, you'd had guys leave, say they're going to go get a drink of water, and you'd had guys leave and go in the portal in the middle of practice. I guess he was saying I was a little tough on him at times, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. And you know, football is this next year is just kind of really getting into the portal and paying for your likeness. Like the SEC has been cheating for 25 years. They're way ahead of everybody. You know, they used to have that Rolodex under the desk. Now it's right on the desk. I mean, and they can pay them whatever they want to pay them. And it's not, you know, I mean, I could pay somebody to say Steele Insurance is really, really good and pay him $300,000. There's no limit. It's crazy. I mean, it's
going to have to be reeled in.
Well, hey, wait a minute. Can you do that for us? That would be fantastic.
No, but you know, like when Nick Saban gets up at media day and they say, who's going to be your starting quarterback? And he says, well, the guy that already has over $1 million in endorsement deals is leading right now. And when Ohio State has a guy making $1.3 million and they're going to redshirt him. I mean, it's just a different.
I think it's going to hurt.
Kyle, I think what is, you know, like Auburn. The guy at Auburn, he's cheated forever. He's been kicked out twice. Well, now you have a guy from Carolina transfer to Auburn. How much money do you think he's going to make? And it might get way over $1 million.
Well, what I think is going to be interesting is, you know, you have a lot of big money donors that are doing that. You know, what I want to know how down the road it's going to affect the little man who gives to, you know, I'll use the Pirate Club for an example. And you know, somebody goes, now, wait a minute, you know, so-and-so is making $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year as a student athlete plus scholarships. Why the hell am I giving my $100 or $1,000 a year to the Pirate Club to play for their damn scholarship?
Oh no, I agree with you. And also if you're giving $10,000 to the Pirate Club, why not give it to the best pitcher or the best volleyball player, whatever it is, and give it to he or she, and you write it off as an expense, and that person driving your car or whatever it is, why not do that rather than give it to an institution, whether it's East Carolina or whatever college? Why not give it to the kid? Everybody's going to be talking about it, whether it's good or bad. It's one of when they talk about these kids not getting anything, you know, they said that I read an article that if Zion would have been able to do this his 1 year at Duke, just signing autographs, it'd have been way over $1 million.
Well, I was thinking about locally, if this was going on when Dwayne Harris was here, his senior year. I mean, how much money would have Dwayne made just signing autographs?
No, I mean, I don't know. It's the era we live in, but it's just, and like when I was at Purdue, my sophomore year, I wasn't getting to play, and I was going to go to Evansville. And my coach, Coach Schaus, and my parents, we all met, and he said, if Mike sticks it out, he'll play some. But and my attitude had gotten bad because I wasn't getting to play, and so I did. And we won the NIT that year, and I played a lot. But if the portal would have been available, I'd have been gone. I'd have just been gone. You have 2 days of bad practice, and you go, I'm going to Ole Miss, or I'm going to Sunshine. I'm going someplace.
You would have been a Purple Ace.
Yeah, and I'd have been a damn Purple Ace. Yeah, but I just think it. I don't know. I'm old school. I like to see kids that, they grind, and all of a sudden they get to be a junior, and they're playing, and the senior year, their leadership, you see them grow. I'm not sure that's part of the equation.
I agree with you. I'd like to see the transfer portal pulled back. In the name, image, and likeness, I'm okay with it, but it needs a lot of restrictions. It does not need to be the Wild West.
Colin, I'm okay with some of it, but the idea that kid can transfer from Carolina.
Yep.
And think about it, like kids, you can't get any better than Carolina, but kids transfer to Auburn, and Painter guy said, Mike, he's making way over $1 million. When July 1st came, those contracts were signed, and I could go play at Auburn for $1 million. I mean, I told Coach Painter, Coach Painter, when I played, if they'd had that likeness, I said, my senior year, we could have gotten 2-for-1 pitchers probably at Lums down, in the levee. And he said, Steele, every night was 2-for-1 pitchers at the levee. That's what my likeness would have been worth. But I don't know. Kyle, I think it was a horrible decision. But you know what? Skip told me 3 years ago. He said, they're going to have to do this because if they don't, the lawyers lost, the NCAA lost, it spent $30 million and they lost basically all the lawsuits. And the lawyers' argument was, if you say they're student athletes and they're not employees, but if they leave, you basically are giving them a 1-year non-compete, like you would a lawyer who leaves your firm or an insurance person leave. You're giving them a 1-year non-compete. So you either have to take that away or you got to pay them. And I mean, it went to the Supreme Court and they voted 9-0. So
people that don't know anything about athletics,
and they didn't want to pay everybody. I don't know.
I just think it's funny. They have people that decide on something that they're not athletes, so they have no clue. They probably never played.
There were a lot of people on the Supreme Court that were playing hoops and football. I don't know. Probably Whizzer White was the last guy that did that.
Well, if the Supreme Court wants to do something, and in the these chancellors and these ADs and these school presidents and these so-called Group of 5 schools like East Carolina, if they'll grow some nuts one day and sue. Right now what's happening in Cincinnati, and Cincinnati's going to the Big 12 or whatever, but it's criminal. They were number 1 or number 2 or number 3 in the country, depending on what poll you like. The playoff poll comes out tonight by the committee. They're number 6. So one of these days,
I saw that and I couldn't. My first thought was I couldn't believe it. My second thought was,
what else did you expect?
College football, though, Coach. College football is the one sport that gets in its own way. If they had a real playoff, they would be the number 1 sport in America, a legitimate playoff, and not what I call a made-for-TV event. That's what we have right now.
It's going to take a lawsuit. It's going to take another lawsuit. And the thing that kills me is we worried about the student athletes and got to give the student athletes rights. Well, does East Carolina's players and Cincinnati's players not have the right to compete for a national championship? Why are they given a glass ceiling? So until that's addressed and some people get mad enough to sue and say, you know what, if you take your ball and go home Power 5 and break away, you break away. But if we're going to keep playing together, it's going to be fair. Until somebody has some guts to do that, because I believe we'd win that lawsuit.
You know what, Kyle? You can write this down. This is my prediction. The SEC basically is running the deal. And now you add Texas and Oklahoma. They're going to go to 8 schools. They're going to go to 8 teams. And because the SEC is going to have 3 or 4 of them. It's going to be like the SEC Invitational. But they can't just have 4 because there's going to be too many SEC teams that are going to get left out. They're going to go to 8 because they're going to say it's the best thing for college sports, but it's going to be the best thing for the SEC. Everybody else will be fighting for
yeah, the talk was 12. The talk was 12, and the group of 5 getting the top 5 conferences. The top 6 conferences getting automatic qualifiers into the playoff with 12 teams. And if they did that, that means one group of 5 conference would get their champion in. So that would be great if they actually did that. But that's probably too fair for them to do.
No, I agree with you. And, you know, it's so hypocritical because all the other levels can do that. You know, the Division III and the 1AA, they all do that. Kids would rather play games than do the winter workouts, the spring ball, yada, yada, yada. They would rather play games than do that. And then, you know, the administrations, they all fall back to is it the best thing for the student athlete? Well, they don't care about that.
Yes.
I mean, they don't care about that. You know, it's the old North Dallas 40, the movie, where the guys say, when we want to call it a game, you call it a business. And when we want to call it a business, you want to call it a game. It's the same concept. Nobody cares. Nobody cares when the student athlete anymore. You know, I don't know. I agree with you though, Kyle. As long as they keep it at 4, the SEC is going to have 2. They're going to have them.
Yep. Yeah, it needs to go to 12. 8's not enough. I love the proposal to go to 12 and include the group of 5 in that. But, you know, when they proposed that, that's when the SEC made the move to add 2 to make sure they got multiple teams in. And then the Pac-12 said, hold on a minute. Let's not do that. So I think it's, you know, the SEC's greed is hurting everybody else again. But I think eventually go to 12 and include the group of 5. And it just give us one spot between 5 conferences.
What were the 4 top spots? Because I just saw a blip.
Michigan State, Oregon.
Georgia, Alabama.
Yeah, Georgia, Alabama.
And, you know, Michigan State and Ohio State.
Oh, was it Alabama or was it Oklahoma, Dave?
Yeah, I mean.
It's Alabama.
I think that Georgia, you know, Georgia and Alabama.
You know Alabama's going to be in it. Come on. They could be 0-12 and they'll still put them on. It's ridiculous.
And if they go in and Alabama beats Georgia, then with one loss, they're going to be – one will be 1 and one will be 3, so they can play each other in the national championship game.
And I don't hate Alabama, but I swear I know what the rule is. But if Alabama is 0-12, they'll be like, well, they play in the SEC and they play a really tough conference, and they would be. I mean, it's just amazing to me how it's just amazing to me. But
watch out, Auburn's got a good football team this year, and I believe that's in Jordan-Hare this year. Somebody check on that.
And you know, we talk about scheduling non-conference, like Alabama does squeeze in Mercer in there. You know, they got one that they always have one that you're paying somebody $1 million, whatever, and it's going to be packed. I mean, it'll be sold out or whatever. I mean, you get a ticket, and it's Mercer. I mean, come on.
I think we'll leave it there. That was great, Coach. You're the best. We're going to have you back on, obviously, overtime this year. Our post game show, and appreciate you so much. You're always very good to us, and definitely.
No, I enjoyed it, Kyle. You know what? I almost agreed with like maybe 70% of the stuff you said tonight.
That's good. I'm glad you're coming around.
No, I don't feel good about myself, to be quite honest.
Well, you're coming around. You know, eventually you'll get to 80%, the 90%.
Oh, all right, you guys. I appreciate it.
All right. You're awesome. Appreciate you, Coach.
Good night.
All right, Mike. Sleep well.
You know, it was so much better without Bubba here. It was just so much easier trying to not have to walk Bubba through stuff. See ya later.
Bye. Oh my goodness, great stuff there from Coach. And now we have another great guest and with us right now. And for folks that don't know, it's Epilepsy Awareness Month, and obviously we have with us right now, right after Coach Mike Steele, and that's we have an alum of the ECU softball team, Courtney Layton. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on. Definitely a very serious topic and something that folks may not know. My daughter had seizures, and thankfully we had her tested. She's not epileptic. She actually had seizures or febrile seizures because of fevers when
Oh,
she was little,
yeah.
and so it was very scary. So we went through that as a parent. She hasn't had one, thank goodness, in over 4 years. But
Good.
so it's something that, yeah, it's something that definitely I'm aware about as far as seizures are concerned. Very scary thing. Wanted to have you on, obviously, to talk about that. And uh, first of all, welcome to the show. And certainly, I know you had a great experience as a softball player for ECU, wearing the purple and gold. We're going to talk about that, and of course, Epilepsy Awareness Month. And um, I guess where we start is we'll talk about that. Tell everybody, the viewers and listeners, how did this first happen for you? Your first seizure, and where was it, and that kind of thing.
I had it on April 20th of 2016. It was my junior year of high school. It was really weird because I'd always been healthy. No broken bones, nothing. My dad used to come get me up before school and make sure I was awake and all of that. He came up, woke me up. I was good. I remember waking up that morning. I didn't come down for breakfast, and my dad kind of heard a sound from upstairs. He comes upstairs, and I'm in my bed. I don't remember any of this. This is what I was told. I was in my bed, and I was in the post-ictal state. So he missed the seizure. I'm assuming that's when I was supposed to come down for breakfast. But he saw the state where the foam is out of the mouth, the bleeding, the eyes are just dazed over, can't see anything, no response. And he then freaked out, called my mom from downstairs. They come up there, call 911. Next thing I remember, I woke up in the back of the ambulance, and I was terrified because I never remember my seizures or what happened. And I just remember waking up in the back of the ambulance, hearing my mom in the front seat telling me it's okay. And I don't think I've ever been so scared in my life because I'm like, why am I back here? So that was the first time I ever had one, and it was one of the worst days of my life. But and I've said it before. I don't really know if if it ever gets any easier. You just get adjusted to it.
Courtney, how soon after the seizure did you get diagnosed with epilepsy? Obviously, a good ER doctor may have had some indications that that's what it was, but they were probably also concerned about brain tumors, et cetera. What kind of battery of tests did you have to go through for them to diagnose you with epilepsy, and how long did it take?
So the very next morning, the night I had my first seizure, or the morning. So the very next morning, I had to stay up like all night. And I remember me and my mom were sitting there because she had to make sure I stayed up. And I remember I was crying. I was like, please let me go to sleep. And I wasn't allowed. So the next morning, I went in for an EEG, and I believe it was 45 minutes. Right after that, I mean, it was less than 24 hours. They were like, you have epilepsy. Very
Now,
next day.
were they scared of anything else? Was that bad news? Was it a relief because it's something you've heard of? You knew how aware of you were you of epilepsy when you got the diagnosis?
Not at all.
So did the doctors explain it to you and your parents? I'm sure they did. I'm sure they just didn't go, you have epilepsy, go home. So how much explaining did they do that first day when you got the diagnosis?
Well, I remember them telling me, and at the time I was going to a pediatric neurologist because I was 16, and she was very, very, she's one of the best neurologists I've had. She was very well spoken, very good at explaining things and handling situations like having to tell a family, hey, your child has epilepsy. And I think she could tell the look on all of her faces were just just shocked and confused. And she really just sat there and explained to us what it was. And the only thing was we still don't know where mine came from. Nobody in my family has ever had it. It just happened. And that was the only thing that she couldn't explain. She was like, we don't know why, but here's what I can tell you. This is what it is. Here's some websites, information to look over, medication, everything. She was great. And that was pretty much the first time I found out. So we went home and did a lot of research on it. A lot. It was I still felt very like in a gray area. I wasn't completely sure what it was, but I also felt a little bit more informed. But it was a very confusing first few months, really. But those first 2 days were very scary and confusing.
How common is it for it to be non-hereditary?
Do what?
How common is it for it to be non-hereditary?
I actually don't know. I feel like normally it's within a family and it is hereditary, but mine it wasn't. I have no idea. We still don't know. It's very weird.
One of the things that I noticed with my daughter Mackenzie was, especially the last time that she had a seizure, is that she was having trouble. Like her words were not very crisp. But what was really weird is that we knew that she had a seizure, and the reason is every time that she would have a seizure, her talking was better. It was clearer. That was the weirdest thing. It's like afterwards she was like, dad, like a teenager, where before it was harder to understand her. And I'll never forget that. That was something that was very unusual, very odd, like after the fact. But you definitely knew that she had one because of her speech, how clear it was. It was just really strange.
Yeah, mine was the complete other way around. Nothing I said made any sense, no sense. The brain just doesn't work. It's on a reboot. And I remember I had a seizure in front of my roommates a few years ago, and we were supposed to go to the mall that day. It was one of our off days, and I don't remember saying this at all, but apparently I told them we can go to the mall after I go to the batting cages. But it came out in complete gibberish. Why did I say I needed to go to the batting cages? I don't know. I don't remember that, but that's what I was told. It's just weird stuff like that. It doesn't make any sense.
So what are some of your triggers? I mean, do you know, is it staying up, late, not getting enough rest? Obviously, the one everybody talks about with epilepsy is flashing lights. What are your triggers?
So mine actually aren't strobe light induced, which is good. Mine are sleep deprivation and stress are my two biggest ones, and the ones that I am made aware of as of right now.
Okay. So you can't cram up. You can't cram all night for the final. That's what you're saying.
No.
Like,
do you know how much I could tell you that I wish I could? I wish I could. I cannot. I'm so jealous of people that can do that.
If it's not too personal of a question, how many medications are you on for?
I'm on a 300 milligram at night and a 250 milligram in the morning, but it is the same medication.
Okay.
I want to ask about head coach Courtney Oliver, former head coach of East Carolina for softball. I know she worked with you, didn't she? I mean, it was like after you had committed, wasn't it? Or you'd signed with the Pirates?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wasn't diagnosed until after I committed. I committed in 2015, and then I had epilepsy in 2016 is when I was diagnosed, and so having to tell her was very scary because first off, she was coming to my tournaments, and it was that weird time where you're not really supposed to talk to the coaches. It's against the rules, but my parents were like, we have to tell her. So while I was playing, my parents went up and told her, and I remember the whole time I'm sitting during the game, like biting my nails, like, what is she going to say? And she was nothing but supportive and reassuring me and my family that she would make the team aware and she was going to take this step, learn what she could about epilepsy, the steps and first aid, everything. She was nothing but supportive and understanding and willing to learn.
And how did you have to take any extra precautions to play softball at the Division I level with epilepsy?
Well, that's when I first found out, it's funny, that was our first question when I was first diagnosed was, will I be able to play softball? Because at the time, you have no idea your restrictions. And she was like, yes, you'll be able to play, but here's the thing. and with softball in college, I had to miss out on a lot of 6 a.m.s because the sleep deprivation is so early. And sometimes you have to miss out on a little bit of practice because you're twitching or you're stressed or whatever like that. Other than that, I really did what I could. But obviously, there's a few things where your health comes first. And it sucks because my whole team was out there doing what they needed to do. And there was sometimes I couldn't join. And that really sucked. And it was really disheartening every time. I remember telling Coach Courtney multiple times, this is extremely disheartening. And every time she was just like, it's okay. Your health comes first, whatever else. And it's going to be okay. But these are times where you have to slow down before something extreme happens. So again, my team all 4 years, no matter who came in and who left. Coaches, so supportive.
Did your teammates have a lot of questions for you about it?
Did my teammates have a lot of questions?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what are some of the more ridiculous questions you've been asked?
I've been asked about a lot of myths. Like, can you swallow your tongue? I'm like, no. No, you can't, because they read it online and it's like, you can. I'm like, you can't. I promise you. That's definitely a question I get asked a lot. My other favorite is when somebody finds out I have epilepsy, and I understand this, it just makes me laugh because I know my circumstances. They're like, you have epilepsy? You can't go to concerts? I'm like, yes, I can go to concerts. I can go.
Wow.
Like, those are the two questions I probably get the most.
Yeah, it's people make assumptions based on what they know about things. I actually have an condition called ocular albinism, which makes me legally blind. And when someone hears you're legally blind, they immediately think you can't see a damn thing. So I can identify 100%. There's so many spectrums of being legally blind or blindness, just like epilepsy affects. There's different triggers, and people just don't realize that. It's not that they're ignorant. They just know what they know.
What are your ridiculous questions you get? I'm kind of curious.
Oh, how many fingers am I holding up? I always answer in kind and show them one and say, how many am I holding up? Can you drive? No, I can't. Well, I can, but I probably shouldn't. How do you go to sporting events and watch games? Well, that's what they make binoculars for. You're walking around without a cane. That's because I can see. Just all kinds of stupid questions.
Yeah.
It's some of it's comical, some of it's offensive. As you get older, at least for me, you learn to be less offended by people asking questions. I would prefer people ask rather than make assumptions.
I'm the same way. Exactly.
So.
I wanted to ask you, as far as obviously ECU has a new softball coach with Shane Winkler coming from Charleston Southern. We think a lot of Jeff Barber, the AD down at Charleston Southern. Of course, the football team played Charleston Southern a few weeks ago. But just wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts being alum of East Carolina softball? And I know your coach, who obviously recruited you, and you were very close to Courtney Oliver, is not the coach anymore. How do you feel about Coach Winkler? And just tell us your thoughts, because we haven't had him on the show yet. I know he's been very busy, but hopefully we can have him on the show very soon.
Mm-hmm.
But talk about Coach Winkler and your thoughts.
I've met him a few times, and every time I've spoke to him, I love him. He is a very nice guy, and his entire coaching staff, the two girls, Kiana and Jenna, I went out to get coffee with before anybody even came back. And I wanted to explain to them, one-on-one, I know that I don't play here anymore, and I never played for you guys, but I still want to be a part of this program however I can. I've always been really big into alums coming back to their sporting events and being involved, and I really wanted to do that. Every time I spoke to all three of them, they've just been nothing but very nice, very welcoming, willing to let me feel included. I've been to a few of the fall games, and I love the way he coaches. He's very passionate and very, very just into the game. He's in love with softball, and I can tell. It's very obvious, and I can just tell the girls are having a good time on the field, and I love that. And I always like to leave my program better than I found it, and I feel like hopefully that's something that we did. I love ECU. I love ECU softball so much. Yeah. I love it. I'm a Pirate for life, die hard, no question. So I hated seeing my coaching staff go. But I know they're all doing really well, and that's what matters to me. I still talk to all of them on a consistent basis, and I'm really excited to see where the program goes. I think that he can really put it in a good direction, and I'm excited.
Courtney, what are you
Where
doing
did-
now, and do you want to get into coaching? I can tell you probably do.
Do I want to get into coaching?
Yeah.
I did my 17 years of softball. I would love to watch. I don't know.
Really? I was
coach.
expecting. That is not the answer I was expecting.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about your new gig. I'm very excited. Bubba told us that you're the with the ECU Athletics social media, and I'm going to say this, and I'm not kissing up to you because you're on our show. Our social media, I'll put our social media department up against anybody in the country, and I sincerely mean that. These hype videos, the videos you see at the different sports, between practices and things like that, I really love it.
Yeah, they I know that the people I work with, there's a little bit of photography. I mean, I'm trying to learn everything I can while I'm doing my internship. But the interns that I get to work with every day and be friends with, the photography and the videography is just like when I watch it, I can't believe those are the people I get to see every day. And I get to see the extra footage and what went into it into getting made, and it's the coolest thing ever. And mine's primarily social media, so I kind of stick to that. But knowing that I know the people that are pulling out these videos that are getting viewed by however many people and getting reposted and everything, it's so cool. And I agree with you. Our social media team is just, I really think that I know that I do, at least from the way that the Panthers social media runs and the Canes social media runs and whoever else, and try to kind of mimic that and match that kind of energy. And I think that's something really that we do really, really well.
Who are some of the members of our social media team that deserve to get some shout outs here? Those aren't people that like coaches and players that their name gets mentioned very often.
Definitely my boss, Houston McCullough. She's unreal at what she does. Jared Osmick is also amazing. Thomas Berkman is an intern. He's the one that does all the amazing videography, all the uniform videos. He does most of those. Unreal. Our photographers are Isaiah Walker. He's amazing. Emily Rediker, Leah Smith, everybody. Steven, he's a great photographer. I can't believe it. Watching people that talented is so rewarding, and knowing that those are the people I get to be around, and they're really, really good at what they do.
Like, do you have any interaction with Meador? You can't trust that guy.
Oh,
Ryan
God,
Meador.
I love Meador.
Oh my God.
I see him every day.
How much does he pay you? Oh my gosh. I can't
God. Just in conversation.
Okay.
Love him.
Yeah,
Meador's a great guy. He
we're joking. He's a friend of the show, and always been you want to talk about a great Pirate. My goodness, you want to talk about great work. He's always done great work. And now that he's been back at his own alma mater, I mean, that's just so cool to take his talents and to enhance that. One question I had too is, can you tell us, where did Coach Oliver land? Where is she coaching now?
She's the associate head softball coach at Houston.
Okay.
So the Pirates will be playing their former coach.
Yep, that's right. I'm excited, and I actually spoke to her the other day, and I know that she loves it out there, and I'm really excited for her, and I can't wait to see them when they come down to East Carolina. I'm excited.
Courtney, what are some websites and some resources if people want to learn more about epilepsy that they can visit?
I would say the Epilepsy Foundation is definitely the most informative. That was the one that we really looked a lot at, and it has all the information. I know there's like Living with Epilepsy websites, and there's blogs and stuff like that. If anytime you have any kind of question, Epilepsy Foundation, and then if you just type in Epilepsy Foundation is a separate one. Another one is like Living with Epilepsy. They usually have frequently asked questions, blogs, everything. Those were the two that we really studied, and our eyes burned into our computers looking at it so hard when I was diagnosed.
Well,
And
it's
well, David, I didn't mean to cut you off, but if there's anybody watching this show that has a child, a teenager, son, daughter, that maybe has been recently diagnosed with epilepsy, would you want them to reach out to you personally? I don't know if you like to get that involved or not.
Always. I don't love hearing that people are diagnosed or dealing with it, because it really does suck. But I love nothing more than answering questions or just being there for people who are dealing with it, because epilepsy, a lot of people have it, more people than you would think, but the people who don't have it don't understand. Right. It's really, really hard to explain. And so having someone that they can talk to, or that I can talk to, is one of my favorite things, and just being able to go back and forth. And there's some people I love when I get DMs from moms, dads, whoever, that were just recently diagnosed, and I love being able to answer their questions knowing that I was diagnosed 5 years ago.
And how can people reach out to you?
Usually Instagram and Twitter are the two biggest ones.
Okay, so just your name. Just is that how they find you?
Yeah, if they type in Courtney Layton on either platform, I'm on. That's okay. How you can find me on both.
All right.
Well, you've definitely been entertaining, and you've definitely been informative too about that. And good luck. Are you going to, one final question? Is this what you want to do as far as a career, as I guess, sports social media?
So on Friday, a few days ago, I got hired at WNCT as a digital content producer. So I'll be starting there soon. So yeah, that's exactly what I want to stay in. And I'm very lucky I get to stay here in Greenville. I'm very excited about that.
Well, please do me a favor when you're there. Give Brian Bailey a hard time for me, okay?
I just saw him today.
He's another good friend.
He is a sweetheart.
He's awesome. He really is a great guy. I'm joking, and I pick on the people I like. Thank you so much for coming on tonight and spending some time with us. And definitely with Epilepsy Awareness Month here in November, we definitely wanted to have you on. And good luck to you, and good luck to the softball team too. We hear good things about Coach Winkler and the staff, so good luck to them this coming season.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
All right, well, go Pirates. I hope you have a great night.
Go Thanks, Pirates. Courtney. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely.
All right, good night. Bye-bye.
Yeah. She's very well spoken and got a good personality. Would not be surprised if she goes from digital content to Bailey wanting to use her as a backup sportscaster.
No doubt, she was definitely good, and definitely knows the culture of being a Pirate, right?
Yeah, absolutely, which is huge. I mean, anybody like that can stay in Greenville, work for WNCT, yes, work for ECU, has passion for the university, has passion for Pirate athletics, and in her case, Pirate softball. That's what we need. We need more of that.
No doubt about it. I wanted to ask you a few things, and then we're going to wrap the show up. Give your thoughts again. I was just I couldn't believe that was perfect timing, wasn't it, for when they announced those 4 in and Cincinnati got messed up and not in the 4. I give Cincinnati a hard time because they've been winning a lot in the top 10. You want to beat Cincinnati, but they did get I don't even know the right word, but screwed. They should call 911. They got robbed, in my opinion. But I know it's still 4 games left.
Yeah, there's all they can do is try to win and win at a high level. They do have some games coming up. SMU top 25. Houston, most likely in the conference championship, most likely will be top 25. So there's some opportunities to move up. Teams will lose around them. I personally hope it's a moot point, because I hope we upset them Thanksgiving weekend and make it not matter. But we'll see what happens. They haven't played particularly well the last couple of weeks. That may or may not have hurt them. I don't know.
I was going to ask you that.
I don't know. I think that's the excuse that'll be used. It's going to be hard. Look, if they get in, they'll be number 4. Things are going to play out. I do think they're in shooting range where they can get to number 4 at least. But I think it's a shame. It kind of makes you long for the days of the old system, because in the old system, even if we were using that to select our playoff teams, the old BCS days, they would be in position to play for the national championship. So isn't that something, now that we have a human equation to it beyond the polls, that you're getting screwed more than if we were still using the old system?
I thought about that's a great point. Wow, that's a really good point. But that's the thing is, let me ask you this question. Hypothetically, if they were to go 12-0 and they don't get that in the final four,
13-0.
well, 13-0 with the conference championship, yes. So they win the regular season, they win the conference championship, they go 13-0. Would you sue them if they don't? Would you sue the NCAA or if they
Well,
don't
I
make
think
the
since they're
playoff?
going to the Big 12, they won't, but I think the conference should. I think the American Conference should. I think the Group of Five as a whole should. I think we should sue the NCAA, the Power Five conferences. I think we should sue the playoff. Whoever can be sued should be sued. It should already happen. But I think if they go 13-0, they're making a clear statement to anybody who is not in the so-called Power Five conference. You have no chance of making the playoff.
Right.
And to me, that is creating a monopoly that violates antitrust
Antitrust.
laws.
Yep.
I mean, there needs to be a lawsuit, and I think the fear is if there's a lawsuit, that they'll just take their ball and say, "All right, you're right. We're going to break away and form our own division." Um, but so be it if that happens.
They could do that anyway, right? Even without a lawsuit, they could do that.
They could, but they don't want to because they know they're losing part of their market. See, that's the whole thing about it. The more teams you have at that level on paper, the more market you have. Because, if East Carolina's now in a different division and Colorado State's now in a different division and Boise State and so on and so forth, they're not going to, they may be, I'm not going to be interested in watching ACC or SEC or Big Ten football. I'm going to be watching just the conferences in our division. So they don't want to do that because it's less eyeballs, but they don't want us to have any kind of, we're not even asking for equal rights. All we're asking for is to have
seat at the table.
a seat at the table between the five conferences.
Yep.
It soon could be four conferences, but either way, we're just asking to share one spot.
Yeah, that would be a great start for sure. So we'll see how that plays out. And obviously, we're going to talk about our Hyatt preview in just a second. But I know Bubba wanted us to mention about the 1932 hats established in 1932. For those watching on the screen right now, they're great hats. And if you're interested in that, you can just email us at thesportsobj@gmail.com. Again, email us at thesportsobj@gmail.com if you're interested in purchasing the established 1932 hat. Or we're going to have other items such as hoodies in the future with logos, T-shirts, a whole bunch of stuff.
Hopefully we'll get those sold and there'll be a high demand and we can get some stuff done for the holidays. We'll see what happens. Not many of those left, but we want to do another round. We want to do some hoodies, and if there's a big enough demand, maybe we'll have some hoodies for sale for the Christmas season. We'll see what happens.
No doubt. Johnny Robertson, Bubba, I want to get that his question up on the screen for Kyle before we got one more question we'll take from Johnny and then get out of here. Johnny asked, if it came down to Oklahoma or Cincinnati for the final playoff spot, who do you think Bob Bowlesby would root for? Great question, Johnny.
That is a good question. I think he'd root for Cincinnati. But I think Oklahoma would probably get it. But I bet Bob Bowlesby would root for Cincinnati, though Oklahoma's going to bring in more money in his conference at the present time. But I hope he would see the bigger picture and root for Cincinnati. Would be my guess.
Yeah. The Oklahoma is a lame duck now. Definitely, they're bringing more eyeballs and all that, but I definitely think you would root for Cincinnati. That's just my take, but what do I know? And we've got some other graphics. By the way, very excited, Kyle. This weekend, you're a big baseball fan. We have the Purple and Gold World Series coming up this weekend. I know Bubba has. There it is. Thank you, Bubba. You're the best. This weekend on Friday at 3:30, we have Saturday at 10:50 a.m. and Sunday is going to be at high noon for the World Series. Very excited about it, the Purple and Gold World Series, because the best of the best when it comes to, we've got one of the best programs in the country. This is kind of like the big game, but like two different teams that they'll have.
It's like the Purple and Gold game, except it's the baseball version. And So yeah, I guess good luck to both teams because they're both Pirates.
Yeah,
Also,
no
Pirate
doubt.
basketball. Go ahead, Dave. What's on screen?
All right, and Thursday, one of our good friends that loves, as Kyle mentioned last night, he loves wrestling and barbecue. So we don't understand why he's in Philly, but that's a whole nother show. We'll have him on Thursday night. Ryan Wall.
Actually, Philly has a big professional wrestling culture.
That's true. Going back, yeah. Now that I think about it, that's true. Maybe not the barbecue, but definitely the wrestling. Now that I think about it, Al's daily Temple 24/7 site. He's awesome. He'll give us the latest on Temple recruiting. We'll be talking about the game. We'll be talking about Coach Carey. I don't know. I don't know that he survives after the season, but we'll see about that. I think there's been a lot of guys at college, because you followed the college football. Um, the whole sport very close. I just see a lot of players transferring, leaving.
Yeah,
It's just
I think
a
it'll
hot
depend.
mess.
I think it'll depend on how the season plays out. I mentioned this guy's name last night for the UConn job, but I could really see Joe Moorhead going to Temple. He's a Northeastern guy, was
Yep.
offensive coordinator at Penn State, was head coach at Colgate, did a great job at Mississippi State for 2 seasons. For some reason, they fired him after
Temple
back-to-back
was a good
winning
fit for him.
seasons. Now he's the OC at Oregon. My guess that would be I would think he'd be at the top of their list if they make a change. But there's a lot of football left to be played. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bubba. I believe Temple has 3 wins, so they can still get to a bowl game if they got hot. Let's hope that don't happen.
They're 3-2. They're 3-2, right?
I believe they're 3-3. 3-3, I believe.
Yeah,
3-3 or 3-4.
that's
Bubby
right.
got
That's right.
that record.
Wait a minute, they're 3-5. He's kind of there, 3-5.
3-5. So they got 3 wins. So they need to they need to get some wins to get to a bowl, but technically they still could. Let's hope that doesn't happen. At least not this week. So I guess it's going to depend on how the season plays out for them. But let's say they end up 3-9. Will they give them another year? I don't know. Time will tell.
No doubt about it. In fact, they have here's the games they have after us, Kyle. Houston at home, at Tulsa, and Navy at home is what Bubba's putting them on the screen for us. So.
Well, man, that's tough. It could be tougher, but that ain't an easy path.
Yeah, I think we have an easier path, no doubt, to a bowl game than they do.
So. I don't think our path is any easier. I just think we're a much better football team.
Well,
you know
what I'm saying. I'm not saying they're easy. I'm not saying they're easy
at
teams.
Memphis, at Navy, and Cincinnati at home. That's not an easy path. But
no, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying what I'm saying is that I'm not saying there's easy teams. I didn't mean it that way. I'm just saying I think we have more of a shot to make it than they do.
Well, as long as we win this weekend, we'll have more wins than them. So we'll have a better shot. But no, I actually think our schedule's tougher than theirs.
By the way, Kyle, right now I'm keeping an eye on the score for you. Bottom of the 5th, your Braves are up 6-0 over the Astros. So,
well, it's not my Braves. I'm just pulling.
I know.
Just pulling for them out of pure nostalgia purposes. But good deal. Also, Eastern Michigan Toledo is 31-28 at last check. If you're into a little Tuesday night action, there are actually 3 MAC games going on, but I'm watching that one because I have an affinity for Chris Creighton, the head coach at Eastern Michigan. And our boy Scott Weatherby is the athletic director there.
Yes, he is a great Pirate, and appreciate all he has done for Greenville in the past. Do you have anything before we go, my friend?
No, I was just looking forward to the Pirate preview Thursday night. Hopefully, got good weather Saturday. The forecast locally is calling for no rain. It's just going to be chilly and sunny. Weather Channel's saying 30 to 40% chance of rain, so let's hope the Weather Channel's full of crap. And we have sunshiny skies and cool weather and perfect day for football.
They've been wrong before. They're going to be wrong again. We're going to have great weather for Coach Ruff and McNeil and the Hall of Fame weekend. Very happy for you, Coach. I know he watches and listens to our show. Appreciate Coach being a great friend of the show and all that he's done for ECU. And just so happy that we'll talk more about that on Thursday night, obviously. But I'm just so happy he's going to the Hall of Fame. That was one of the best news I'd heard in quite a while when that story broke. So good for him and everybody in the Hall of Fame. Well, Kyle, appreciate you very much I know we've been on the air a lot tonight, but I appreciate you coming back and being with Coach Steele and Courtney. Layton, appreciate her coming back on for Epilepsy Awareness Month. Again, until Thursday nights, appreciate everybody. And we've got a lot of content up on our YouTube channel, on Facebook and Twitter. Until next time, you've been watching The Sports Objective. Good night, everybody. Go Pirates.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Udon Cheek, assistant track and field coach at East Carolina University. You are plugged into the Sports Objective podcast. If you are a fan, you are plugged into the right place. And if you're really a fan, you will share that link. My heart is purple and gold. I'm a pirate down to my soul. And I don't back down, not at all. Find out when I